When communicating, right, or conveying ideas, especially in the creative world, right, whether that be writing, rapping, whatever it is, right, whenever using words, poetry, right, literature, everything is down to interpretation, right, subjectively, right, and don't let anybody tell you that they know exactly what these words meant when they were said, right, because they don't. It's all down to interpretation. Even when you're having a straight A to B conversation, you need to be aware that even the words you're using all have etymology, right, or etymological history to them, right, foundational words that added on to mean what they mean now, right. That's why words have double meanings, triple meanings, and so on, and you can entendre as much as you want to, right. But you must be aware when having a conversation with somebody or putting a piece of literature together, art or what have you, everything is down to interpretation, right? And that interpretation has so many levels of nuance to it. It could even come down to how that person was feeling that day, right? What background referencing, right? Because a lot of it is based on reference, especially when we're talking art, wordplay. It comes down to referencing, right? Does your audience have the same bank of references that you have? That when you're conveying your message, they know this relates to this in these various different arenas, right? That's how you must be aware of, right? Because high-level wordsmiths, high-level intelligent people with literature, poetry, rap, understand that. Most of the entendres, most of the etymology can only be understood by people with the referencing power, right? And it can only be correctly interpreted by someone with the correct levels of reference and information, background data, right? So whenever having a conversation, just an A to B conversation about something, you can both think, like, you can both a priori, right, agree that it means this, right? But at the same time, you can both agree, for instance, we're talking about a cup. We can both agree that a cup exists, right? But we can both interpret a cup in different ways, right? So the conversation and the conveyance of the message is never as straightforward as the messenger thinks it is, right? Because you could say, that's a mug, right? And a mug is still a cup, right? But to some people, a mug is something else. To some people, a mug is a verb, right? Yeah, it all depends. A noun, right? An adjective, right? All at the same time, right? So when conveying your messaging, be okay with that, and also understand that you can use that level of nuance and interpretation to your own benefit when creating art and speeches and just anything to do with words in general, right? Because word, power, sound is all subjective, right? It's agreed that we have non-verbal communication too, and even a level of spiritual communication if you believe in that. But even that can be subjective, right? Because if a deaf person is speaking to you in sign language and you don't have the reference to the language, you're not going to be able to correctly interpret what it is they're trying to convey, right? And it's no difference with words too, right? So just be aware of that. Know that when you interpret something, you may not get the initial impact that the person that created it intended, right? Don't let your English teachers and professors or whatever tell you this, right, I meant this when they said what they said, right? Because they don't really know. It's just their interpretation, right? So you cannot be right or wrong. You can be dogmatic about it, but at the end of the day, words do have meanings. Words do mean things. But interpretation is completely separate. Just like solicitors and judges interpret law, right? They interpret what the words mean to a situation, right? So understand that it's subjective, right? And good solicitors and good judges understand that too, right? It's all wordplay. It's technically magic, right? It's spelling, yeah? Etymology and entendre, like I just said, spelling, right?